Welcome to Miss V, the Storyteller podcast. You guys, I always come with you. I try to find people that I know are going to be inspirational, find people that's going to give us information. But today I found somebody who is hilarious. Let me tell y'all, she is just as funny as I am. And I am so excited to have her here today. We are a part of a group of women that's called the Alliance, and it is a group of women who get together to work on our businesses to be very, very wealthy entrepreneurs. That's what we work on. So I am so delighted to have Jocelyn here. Jocelyn is going to tell you about herself. She's also going to tell you how to pronounce her last name because y'all pray for me. I think it's McElderry. Did I say it right? All right. So,
Got it,
Jocelyn,
girl.
tell us about yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Jocelin McElderry, currently known as the Connection Specialist, where I help midlife women to reconnect and connect with themselves to go on to be the great that they were destined to be. I have been a nurse for the last 30 years, 31 years, actually. And I retired in 2018 at the age of 55. So that's
Wow.
how I figured out that I need something to do. And I wasn't ready to sit down and rock on the porch. So I created this coaching program to help midlife women, which is what I was at the time, to help us get back to those things that we were passionate about and wanted to do, but we didn't because life happened. Because life be lifing.
Yes. Amen.
We make our children our whole life, and then they grow up and walk off. Not
Wow.
before they ask you for some more money, though, on their
Well,
way
of
out.
course, we're always
Yeah,
going to ask our parents for money. That's what they're
that
there
part.
for. They are ATMs. They don't know it, but that's what they
Yeah.
are.
Right. Many ones, many, because we have to fund the ATM, okay?
Well, yes,
But
that's true.
it was just amazing to me. And I was blessed. God blessed me to be able to retire at 55. And it was so funny. You have to do your paperwork 90 days before your last day, right? So when I went to talk to the lady, she said, "Oh, you actually have 31 years." I said, "Well, ma'am, why didn't you call me last year? Why would you work another whole year? What was you thinking? You ain't know?" And she just laughed. She was like, "Well, I would have told you if I had known." I said, "Well, thank you." But I was excited to go. How about that? Because I
Yes.
was sick of my boss.
Mm.
I know somebody out there knows that feeling. I was sick of my boss at the time. So I was grateful to be able to retire. And, I get so tickled because people say, "You retired early." I said, "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did. You can't get Social Security." I said, when I started the job, they told me 30 years later, I could leave there and get a check. That's what
Amen.
I did. That ain't early. That's right on time.
I love it.
Yeah. Ain't nobody got no time for that. I'm
Now you
out of
all
here.
now you all see why she's on this show, because if you need a laugh, you're going to have a laugh today. So, Jocelyn, I know that you listen to my podcast. I know, and I know you tell me all the time, this you be cracking me up with your stories. So, what story resonated with you? What story do you want to talk about today?
But as I told you, it was a whole bunch of them. They was all good. Okay. Miss Storyteller is the storyteller. But online dating really resonated with me. Something I did before.
Oh my, oh, the online dating. Oh my God. Because I have two. I have OMG. It's
Mm-hmm.
online dating OMG. I have a one and a two. But the one that you're talking about was the first one. Oh my God. Let me tell you all a little bit about the story. You can go over on my on Spotify, Apple, Google, and you can listen to it on Miss V the Storyteller podcast. But it's a story about when I went to do online dating, and I went on this um not an app, it was an online thing. I filled out the application, I filled out my profile and did all this, and I was one of those kinds that I felt like men should find me because I'm the prize. I should be hunting for a man because that's
Right.
out of God's will, because God said he that findeth the wife find this, a good thing
And
and have
obtain
favor
favor.
with the Lord. So I was like that. And this guy found me and he reached out to me and we talked briefly. We started to talk and we exchanged numbers and everything. And then one day he asked me to send him a picture of myself. Well, I have a sense of humor and he did not. And that is one of the most important things to me is you have to have a sense of humor. And he didn't. And that should have been a red flag. It was not a red flag for me because I was just so impressed. I was so excited that he was interested in me. Anyway, so let me long story short, he got very upset with me because I would not send him a picture of myself. But my thing was all my pictures were current online on the profile so he could see me. So I made a joke, jokingly saying, "Oh, you
Mhm.
need me to send you a picture so you can put it on my phone, so you'll know which one the
Mhm.
chicks, the women that you're talking to." And he got upset about that. Boy, he got hot. He got so upset about that comment, but I was just joking. Anyway, he got very upset. Our last conversation, because I didn't realize how angry he was because I wouldn't send him a picture. I ended up laughing at him. He got mad and said to me, I know why you single because you don't know the difference between when somebody is fussing and yelling at you or when somebody is just talking to you." And I'm like, this dude is laying me out over a picture. I'm like, you don't have to call me anymore. I'm good. I'm good. Go on about yourself. So that's kind of what it is. You need to go listen to the whole podcast because I tell you some other things that I said and he said and we said, and it was over and done. So, Jocelyn, when you heard that story, what were your thoughts in between laughing? Because it was a funny story.
My immediate thought was how I had had a couple of experiences that were similar, but it was a little bit different. I actually had several that were interested. And this one particular one, I just kind of said, well, I need somebody that I really connect well with because I plan to be around to get on his nerves for a long time. So the guy got an attitude. What do you mean you want to get on somebody's nerves? I said, what did I say?
Oh, no sense of humor.
None whatsoever. And as you know, both of us, we need somebody with a sense of
You
humor
have to.
because,
Yes.
why do you take, I mean, I literally said, well, obviously we're not a match because you take yourself way too seriously.
You said that?
I said it out loud.
My
And
God.
he was like, oh, and what does that mean? I said, what did I say? Take care. It was nice chatting with you. And I wish you good Godspeed on your journey.
Oh my God.
And I got off the phone and I blocked his number.
Wow. So you've had some of my experiences that
Uh,
I've had. Yes, I'm sure anyone who's done online dating has had some of these things. But tell us that was one of my most colorful ones. Now,
mhm.
what was one of your most colorful ones? And I think I know one in particular because we talked about it a little bit before we start recording. She was telling me, and I was like, wait a minute, my listeners might need to hear this one, or if you don't want to share it with the listeners, but I think you should. That's on you.
Well, one of the things that I love about God is that he not only gives you what you desire, he gives you what you need
Wow.
so that you can get some sense about yourself. So I actually met this guy and he told me he was a minister and we actually dated for a year. And it was so funny because we
You met
dated
him
for a year.
online.
I
You met
met
him
him online. He
okay, one of
actually
those
lived
dating apps. One of those
on a
dating
date
websites.
on one of them dating apps, girl. I
Okay.
think it was Black People Meet or something of that
Oh,
effect. Okay, And so he said, he when we started talking, he said, I'm a minister and yada yada yada. And so, oh, okay, well, yeah. So what we did was because he was in Petersburg, Virginia, that should have been another red flag, but I missed it. I missed it. And so we ended up actually dating. So what we would do is we would meet in Rocky Mount.
Okay.
That was kind of like a halfway point. I live in North Carolina, so Rocky Mount was like a midway point. And he seemed to be okay and seemed to have everything going on. But so we actually got married after
Wow.
a year of dating.
Wow.
And as I told you, after a year with him living together, I was looking for ways to put him back in the computer.
Ah,
and I just could not find it to save my life. But I've learned some very valuable lessons. And one day he just decided, well, you know what? I'm done.
okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually had an event in Atlanta. So a friend of mine went with me. And she was like, you haven't heard from him, your husband? I said, nope. She said, well, I got a problem with that. You done left
Okay.
the state. He ain't called to check on you to make sure you got there or anything. I said, well, I don't know. And what I'm not going to do is worry about it, because what he did was he worked during the week in Virginia and then he would come down here on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Well, come to find out, he sends me a text message as I'm driving back from Atlanta and says that he wasn't coming back.
Oh, oh,
I said, wait, he done wrote me a text
a text.
letter that he was not coming back. And I showed it to my girlfriend. She said, I am mad as fire. I said, well, I'm not.
Yes.
She
No,
said,
but even if
you
you weren't, that's not good. Go ahead.
know, okay, listen. I told my girlfriend, I looked at her, I said, baby, I said, the Lord is being kind to me, because he could have made me stay in this foolishness for 20 years.
Wow.
So I'm going to let him on out, because I learned so much about him that I was just like, man, I'm around here looking at computer cords, trying to figure out if I can fit him in there. Girl, looking at the mouse, can I shove him in this mouse? How do I get him back in that computer and let somebody else have this joke?
Oh
He's more
no.
than enough.
Wow. So I'm trying to understand this. Before the text, did you all have like a conversation? Oh, okay, let me
No,
ask you this. The better question would be, were was this a total and complete surprise to you, or did you have a sense or a feeling that it was gonna happen, but not in that way?
it was a total and complete surprise.
Oh Lord.
I was like, I do what I'm supposed to do, because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I had no indication that he was just gonna bail, because
Hmm.
what I can say is that he had a better life than he had before I came along.
Okay.
So, I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, that part.
Wow.
But I still say to this day, the Lord was gracious. He
Hmm.
said, my daughter was so simple. I'm gonna let her out of this foolishness, even though, even though I shouldn't.
Well, did you continue with online dating after that, or did that like taint it? You was like, I'm done. I'm never doing it again because I got a hot mess. I'm finished.
It's a wrap.
It's really one and
It was a
done.
wrap for me. No, I had met other guys before him, but I actually met a guy that we still are friends to this day.
Oh wow.
We are still friends to this day. And when I was telling him that I was about to get married, he got mad.
Oh.
And I was like, why are you mad? And he was like, well, do you talk to him like we talk? What does that have to do with anything? You're not interested in anything permanent.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm confused. I'm just like, whatever.
So as
But
long as you were unattached, he was fine.
right.
Oh, but as soon as you found someone, and that's when he started having some issues. Someone else told me something similar to that. They want to be just your friends, just friends. until somebody comes along and
With
then they get
benefits.
threatened.
Don't leave that out.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
They
and then
want
they
to be
get
friends
threatened
with
with
benefits.
benefits.
Right.
Wow. So let me ask you this, with the coaching and everything you do for women in midlife and going through midlife crisis, or I hate that word midlife crisis. I think you're just going through midlife maturity. I'd rather use
Right.
that word because
Right.
you've matured beyond all the mess. So I'll call it midlife maturity.
Maturity. Right.
People who are going through midlife maturity, where they're maturing out of that foolishness, what do you suggest that they do online dating? What do you suggest that they do, especially empty nesters? Maybe their child has gone off to college, and then the husband has gone on to glory or wherever he's gone because they stayed together because of the child, and now she's by herself. This is new to her. What do you suggest she do as far as getting, back out there?
The first thing that I recommend and I help them do is get to know you,
That's key.
because what has happened along the lines, and this is something that I say all the time. In the Bible, it says, I think over 18 times, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Self.
But a lot of us don't know how to love ourselves because we don't even know who we are.
Hmm.
And when you ask someone, who are you? They tell you, I'm a mother, I'm a
Yes.
sister, I'm a whatever. They tell you the job that they do, but they can't really verbalize who they are. I had one woman that had been married over 20 some years to a narcissist.
Oh.
So basically, she had decided, mind you, that he had commuted and he was in government, worked in government, and he had commuted from Washington to Texas for years. And then what she found out is he had a whole nother life.
Oh.
So that when he showed up on the home front, he was always rude and nasty to her, so that she wouldn't even attempt to figure out what was going on in his.
Oh, wow.
And so ultimately she was married. She was married to him for over 20 some years. He was rude, he was riotous, he was, you name it. He belittled her, all of those things. Mind you, she had been a stay-at-home mom because they'd had a special needs child. They had two other children that were fine, and then they had a special needs child. So somebody had to take care of that child. And she had been a school teacher and she had done some things before. And she finally said enough is enough
Good for her.
and decided that I don't want this anymore. And of course, he did everything he could do to her, including like taking the purse strings and just holding them so tight that she couldn't figure out how she was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to
Mm-hmm.
remember now, he was doing everything. So he
Yeah.
was in charge of everything. So she had no idea how the finances even looked.
Wow.
So it was actually her daughter that I just happened to be on a virtual meetup somewhere with her daughter, and I was telling them what I did. She sent me an email that was a whole page long about how the mother needed me.
Wow.
Yes, but the sad part is she had no clue. She didn't have a lot of skills, she thought.
Mm.
She had actually started working, doing this. It was a multi-level marketing company, but it was health and wellness. And it had actually worked for her. She had actually used the products, it had worked for her, all of that. So what I did was I helped her get her confidence so that she could push her products. And so working with her and helping her understand, you are amazing.
Yes.
You have everything that you need to accomplish this. You are not any of the things that he said. I need you. And I helped her find her identity in Christ to get
Good.
her back to where she understood that she was fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes,
Then
absolutely.
I've worked in multi-level marketing before, but I understand the sales process. So we worked with her doing scripts so that she could go out to talk to people, going out to events and talking about her products, sharing her results, all of those things. And today she is doing fabulous. She's married off one of her daughters. Her
Oh,
special needs babe is doing well. She's
yeah.
doing much better than she was. Now she actually talks back to him.
Good for her. Is she still married to him?
They're on their way to divorce court.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he didn't believe that she was going to do it. And I
Wow.
told her, I said, I need you to get comfortable so that you'll be prepared for the fight that he's going to put up. Because he
Yes.
was in government, he don't want you to have half of his
I
retirement
know that's right.
and half of all these other things. And that he's going to have to pay you alimony and spousal support, all those things.
Yes.
You need to take your time and get you the right attorney that'll help you in all of those things.
Yes.
But we got to get your back up so that
Yeah,
you can.
your self-esteem up.
Right.
Yeah.
I said we got to get you built up so when you traipse up in that courtroom looking fly, he'll be a little upset about it. And that's what happened. And she is doing so well.
Oh, I am so happy. But I
Yeah.
love this story. I love that you shared this story because it does God, it really shows us that you can make it out of mess. God
Mess.
will bless you, and it doesn't matter what your past is or what you may be going through right now. You don't have
That's
to
right.
stay there. And I always tell myself when I'm in a bad situation, when I'm going through something, I'll
Mhm.
tell myself, okay, this is your right now, but this is not your always. It's the
Right.
way the situation is right now,
That's
but
right.
it's going to be much better. You can make it through it. And so I love the fact that you helped her to realize who she was, so that she can get a self esteem, so that she can love herself, so that
That's
she can
right.
be ready for the next person or the next stage of her
That's right.
life
That's
without
right.
living in the past with that hot mess back there. Wow. So let's use her as an example. Once
Mhm.
she gets a divorce, and do you recommend that she get back there on the dating scene, or do you recommend that she take some time to spend with herself, or what would you recommend for somebody who's freshly divorced?
For her, especially. And it just depends on each woman's situation.
Okay.
What I recommend first and foremost is that they become comfortable with them.
Okay.
Um, one of the things that we talk about in my course is identity.
Okay.
Because too often we find our identity in our husbands, our children's, our
Yes.
siblings, our everything but us. We will find our identity in everything but the Lord. Everything.
Lord.
With the Lord.
Medea. Lord.
Uh-huh. That's right, with the Lord. We find our identity in what it is that we do instead of who we are,
Hmm.
because we forget all of that. Because even as just women in general, once we get into marriages and start having children, we got parents, we put everybody before us.
In front of us.
We
Yes.
put everybody before us. And once you do that, it almost assassinates your identity.
Hmm.
Pretty much, it's a sniper that comes along and assassinates your identity because you now identify somebody's mom, somebody's wife, somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, but you don't identify with just you. Sometimes we get married so young that
Hmm.
we lose ourselves and we create ourselves within that situation so that we no longer even know who we are. So we talk about identity. Then we talk about the mindset. What do you think about you? And then let's work on changing that because we have so many roadblocks that we run into as we go through life. If he holds the purse strings, we don't understand money.
Hmm.
Now we got to change our mindset about money because now we're going to have to, if we're no longer with him, we're going to have to learn how to manage our money.
It is so true.
So when I talk about identity, we talk about mindset, we talk about confidence, we talk about all of those things that help you get back to a place where you feel like you're a productive member of society. Because sometimes we get so belittled in relationships, and it doesn't even have to be the husband, it could be the mothers.
Mm,
I
that's
bumped
true.
into a lot of women who have
Yeah.
that have mother wounds.
Yeah.
So what happens is we make poor choices in men because in our minds, we think if our mother doesn't love us, who will?
Right.
So now we get these jokers. Mm.
Hmm. That's a good word, jokers.
These jokers that we want to put back in the computer.
Ah,
I met something that didn't come out the computer and I wanted to put it back in the computer.
you want to push them further into
You
the
want to,
computer.
yeah, right. Let me find you a new home, kind of thing. So what happens to us is that, and then if we have mother wounds, we spend our lifetime trying to make someone love us that hasn't even figured out how to love them.
Yes,
Because it
it's
was
so
something
true.
missing in your mother's childhood. There was something missing in your mother that makes you end up being her scapegoat.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
and I just believe with everything, Val, that they see something in us that they didn't have. And because of that, they got a problem with us.
You know, you are so right. And as you were talking, I thought about three significant people. First, my sister, when you talked about losing your identity.
Mhm.
And I remember when my sister first got married, her dialogue changed. Everything was my husband this, my husband that. Oh, my husband this and that. And one day I asked her, I was like, "Well, did you lose who you are? Do you know who you are? Because everything that comes out of your mouth is my husband." Then I remember my auntie, one of my favorite aunties, her husband passed away. And when he passed away, she didn't know anything. He took care of bills, the house, the mortgage, everything. She knew nothing. She didn't know anything. And her sons had to come over and help her. They had to search the house to find out what papers were and all that. And then another person, because like I said, as you were talking, women were coming to my head. My mother, and we've not had the best relationship all the time. And just like you said, she saw stuff in me, and I someone told me, they said most likely your mother is jealous of you because you're doing things that she wish she could have done, you
Right.
know, and so she lashes out of at you. But then I thought about it is when she was very young, her mother passed when she was like 3 or 4. So her
Right.
sisters jumped in because she's number 22 out of 22. So she
Okay.
had like, yeah,
Yeah.
she like older sisters that took her, you know, to help take care of her. So I can see, as you were talking, I can see women
Right.
in all those situations, and they all, each and every one of us, or each of every one of them, needed help. Now I needed it, but God helped me, Lord. Ooh, hallelujah. God has
Hallelujah.
really helped me. He has really helped me. But
Right.
I see how these women would need, you know, some kind of coaching or some kind of help to help them to find their full identity. Now I still have some areas that I'm working on, you know. I still am, you know, working on, but I'm aware of those
Right.
areas, and that is very key, to be aware.
Self-awareness.
Yes.
Self-awareness. But you're talking about people that don't even have that because they didn't even recognize that there was some self to be aware of because they had thrown themselves into these other roles. And so they get caught up and stuck. Like, I mean, I don't think she really realized, my client realized that her husband was as much of a narcissist until she said one day, she was just like, why is he talking to me like this? And then
Mm,
her daughters
okay.
brought some things to her attention. And she was like, oh my gosh. I mean, they looking it up and saying, this is daddy.
Oh Lord.
And so it was something. And I think that really is what made her feel some type of way because in her mind, I think she realized my daughters could choose the same type of man because I've chosen to stay with their father all of
Yeah.
this.
And
And
that's
I've
the
made it
first
look,
man, right? And that's the first man in their
they
lives.
know.
That's the
Right.
first one that they spend the most time with growing up
Right.
during those times.
Right.
So you're right.
But they were old enough though. They recognized it for what it was
Mm,
because even though he was their father, he had other stuff to do.
right.
So he didn't
Hmm.
spend quite as much time with them
Well,
as
that's
he
a blessing in
should have.
disguise.
Shoulda. But yeah, so it was amazing to watch her transform before my eyes. And she's beautiful, absolutely beautiful woman, 62 years old, had
Oh,
been through all of this.
wow.
And I dating wasn't even on her radar. She was like, child, no.
After that mess.
Yeah, child, no. So I meet both. I meet women that still are interested in finding someone, but I meet other women that are like, never mind. When I'm done with this, it's a whole wrap.
Oh, wow.
Nope, we're not doing that. But even for myself, I walked away from online dating. I said, okay, I can't do this anymore. I cannot, will not, is not, and ain't. That's what I'm all of that. Because what I cannot do is put up with foolishness, because now I have a keen sense of awareness of who I am
Mhm.
and what I have and what I offer. So anybody just won't work. And I'm like you, I believe that, if it's for me, that, it says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good
Ye
thing and obtains favor from the
of the
Lord.
Lord.
So
Amen.
I'm favor for somebody.
Amen. Say it again.
So I'm favor for somebody. So I don't have to look for him. I don't have to do any of those things. And I'll tell you, I did better without the computer. I went to a retirement function and I got a text message the next day.
What?
I was like, wait,
Yes.
got a
I love that because I
yeah.
had a guest to come on my show, and
Mhm.
she is a relationship expert, and
Uh-huh.
she chose to talk about the story on online dating 1 and 2. And we talked about it, we chatted about it, but she came from that was her business, as a
Mhm.
relationship specialist. And something that she said that I haven't forgotten. She said that online dating, if you're going to do it, should be 10%. That is
Mhm.
all. You should
Mhm.
only give 10% into it. But the
That's
rest of
right.
it, you need to get out and meet people. Go to
Meet.
social function. Let people know that you are looking for someone, friends, family. Make sure you specific. That was me adding that in. Make sure you don't hot messes, because we might not be friends if you send a hot mess. Now you need to know them. Make sure your husband know 'em. But she was like, you need to get out, but only spend about 10% of your time online
Online.
looking
Mhm.
for someone, if you are a man or a woman, because now women have switched roles, which I
Right.
really do have issue with, because I feel like, to me, that puts you out of God's order, out of
Mhm.
God's will and his order for us, because we are the prize.
That's
You
right.
know, Men like a good hunt.
Right.
They're hunters
Right.
looking for
Right.
the gift, looking for the jewels, looking for the
Right.
gifts, and when we get out of order, we throw things out of, I want you to be the man. I don't want to have
Listen.
you to come in and I'm gonna have to teach you how to be the man.
Listen, ma'am. Listen. It is. And that was something that I had to remember, is that I need someone that has some strength and some oomph behind him,
Mhm.
because of the way I grew up. And we talked about the mother wounds. I had a tendency to choose fixer uppers
Mm.
and people I could run over.
Oh, okay.
But the same ones that I chose ultimately were the same ones I got tired of.
Mhm. Well, you get tired of fixing up somebody. You want
I,
somebody
I
already
got
as
tired of, and
close to being
I got tired
fixed.
of you not having any oomph
Yeah.
and let me just run roughshod over you. That no longer, after a while, that was no longer fun. The fun runs out. So I just had literally, I had taken myself off of all the markets. As a matter of fact, my daughter was like, well, Mom, do you think he gonna ring the doorbell? I said, well, I got a friend that her husband was the cable man.
Like my cousin, something happened with my cousin where her now husband, he came to do he I don't think he was a cable man, but he came to do something anyway. They got married. But
Okay.
something that I want to clear up. When you say you want to be the man, now I come from some strong women. And I do. And I want you to be the man, but you have to be the right kind of man because you
Right,
can't come in here trying to run
right,
things and try
right,
to run over me, putting your hands on
right,
all that because
right.
my grandmother, she didn't put up. Let me tell you, my granddaddy came in acting a fool one day. Long story short, she bit the bottom of his ear off and spit it at him because she didn't play. My grandmother
Okay.
didn't play, especially when you mess with her grandchildren. So that's the background that I come from. Now you can mess around if you want to. You better not eat my food and you better sleep with one eye open because I'm not playing. You know, I'm saying because when you know who you are and when you've been through enough mess, you get to the point in your life where you say, I know what I want and what I don't want. I know what I'm going to put
Listen,
up with. I know what I'm not going to put up with.
listen, back in the day, my baby daddy, he got to the point where he would sleep with his arms wrapped around me so that if I got up, he would know. Because he got real nervous. Because I told him, I said, I learned that you can do some things with potassium that is really
Oh,
interesting.
no,
And
please
it
don't do
might
it.
be
Don't do it.
hard for them to
No,
figure that out.
no. Now, you all know that we are just joking around,
Yeah,
honestly.
we
But
are.
we're, no,
We are.
we're really joking about this. But I'm in
But
the
yeah,
aspect of we're joking, but
yeah.
seriously, when you've gone through enough, you have to be careful. And it's not just women, it's men as
Men
well.
too.
Because men
Now,
go through the same thing as we do. They can lose their self-esteems and they can, go through heartbreak and all that, and then they're not
and be
quite
abused.
right, and they're not quite healed yet, and then they get
Right.
into something, and
That's
that
right.
woman dominates them, treat them less than a man. So
That's
it
right.
can be on both shoes. I know we're talking about women because we are, but it's
Right.
also men,
Right.
and it took me a minute to get there when because I put men in such a different category, and
Category.
God had me to like, wait a minute, they have the
Mhm.
same feelings as me as you
Mhm.
do. Now they may express them differently, but they go through the same things as women. It's just the way that they deal and handle is
Right.
differently. But
Right.
they have those saying, and I was like, you know what, Lord, thank you for allowing me to see that,
And
allowing me
right.
to see it.
And midlife men that go through divorce, they struggle
Mm.
because I literally asked my pastor about it because I just wanted to know. And he said, you feel like a failure.
Oh,
He said, because midlife is when they were still taught that a man takes care of his household and all these types of things. And so what happens, they feel like they failed when they go through divorce in
mm,
midlife. It really hurts them many greater than it hurts us. But because men are poor expressors of how they feel, because that's also the time during the time when your boy don't cry and you
yeah,
don't show emotion and all of those things. So they end up ultimately suffering in silence.
that's
So
true.
I've heard of men also having trouble with divorce, but I find that the difference most of the time is that we as women, when we get to the point of desiring divorce, we checked out a year ago
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
two. We checked out a year ago, and you hadn't even noticed that we got an extra account that we put our money in because
Yes.
we done gone and signed a lease on an apartment, and all of those things because a lot of times they're not paying attention to the fact that we've checked out.
Mm.
It's not until something gets taken from them that they enjoy
Okay.
that
Yes.
they realize that there's a
Like if
problem.
something's wrong, like,
Right. I said, why do we have to get there, sir? Why would we have to get there? But that's when they really start to realize that something is really going on.
yeah.
And it's sad, but it happens.
Yeah. Well,
But
listen, I am we can go on and on
on
and
and
on
on,
talking
right?
about this. I am. But what I want to do is make sure that we answer
Okay.
the questions at the end. And I think we probably covered them, but I just want to go over them, just in case we didn't, or we want to add to our answers. The first one
Okay.
is, have you tried online dating? Yes, we both have. If so, how was it? In your case, go ahead and say answer your part, and then I'll answer mine.
I should have left him in the computer.
Okay. That's what I thought your answer was going to be. You should have left him
Yeah.
in the computer. I
I
just
should have
wanted you
left
to
him in the
see.
computer. Yeah.
Well, I will say for me, I have another story that I shared about online dating round two because I let some people convince me, oh, try it again. You just didn't try hard enough, or one bad seed shouldn't. So I tried it again, and that didn't work out so well. And I learned from the first one. This time I reached out to someone. I didn't,
Right.
I was having people reach out to me, but then I reached out to someone, and that didn't turn out as well either.
Either.
I don't know if I would try it again, or if I would definitely need someone to coach me as to vet out, hopefully, the wrong, but I don't even know if you can do that. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the advice of my dating relationship specialist, and if I were to do it, just 10%, but get out, go
Right.
out,
Right.
meet new people, do
Just
things like
go.
that. That's what I'm going to do. So it was okay, but I don't know if I'll try it again. The second question is, do you have any problem? Hmm. Do you have a problem sending pictures of yourself to people who you just met online? And that has to do with the story that I did, why he got mad at me because I did not want to send him a picture of me because I felt like it was pictures of me, current pictures of me already online. So would you have a problem with that?
Okay. Number one, a lot of the reasons that they do that is because they pictures is from 1972.
You said they have old pictures up and not current?
They pictures from 1972 in a zoot suit with
A
a jacket down to their ankles. You know, that kind of foolishness, and a matching hat and a shirt
pimps,
and a
looking
tie.
like pimps.
Uh-huh. A shirt, a tie, a handkerchief, and a tie tack that they got all in one
And what's
package.
those hats called?
All in one package. And they got some Stacey Adams on, that. So sometimes it's because of that. But much like you, I did not, it depends. I might and I might not. It
Okay.
would probably depend on how I felt that day and how I felt how crazy you were talking. Because I'm like you, I made sure that my pictures were current. And a lot of times they want other pictures because folk been catfishing.
Yes. Yes.
And listen, this new AI technology, and
Mm-hmm.
these people are doing these photos with that AI
Mm-hmm.
technology
Mm-hmm.
about to catfish a whole crowd of people. So I'm glad that I'm not even interested in that because that's going to be a problem. Because I've seen some women that I literally was like, that picture does not look like who going to show up. Because when you show up, I expect to see a lady that look like the picture, right?
Yeah.
That is not what's going to happen.
Listen, I have to tell you this real quick. It just reminded me, I don't know if it was on TV or I read about it on the internet, whatever. This man wanted to divorce his wife because when they had their baby, he thought the baby was so ugly. But what he didn't realize is that the baby looked just like his wife, but she had had so much plastic surgery that he didn't know what she looked like prior to all the surgery. So she had gotten her face, she had gotten so many things, and then when the baby came, he was like, and he wanted to divorce her because of that. And I think that's what people, you change so much, but I try to be authentically myself. I try to be real because that's what I want to send out there. I want to get it back. So
That
I
part.
did have a problem. Now, I probably would not have had a problem had we been talking or even
For a
going
minute,
out
for a
for a
little
minute,
while.
maybe for like
Yeah.
a week or
Couple
two,
of
2 weeks or
weeks.
whatever.
Yeah.
But he was in Jersey, I'm in Virginia, so we're in two different areas. So it was like, but why? I don't understand. I didn't need a picture of him, because I assumed that the ones online was him, but yeah, I did have a problem with it. Now, over time, I probably would, and I would ask him, vice versa,
Mhm.
especially if we met in person
Mhm.
and I knew what he actually looked like and he knew what I actually looked like. I don't
Mhm.
have a problem. The cat's out of the bag. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but listen, Jocelyn, it has been such a joy talking to you. Listen, I knew I was going to laugh. I even had to drink some water. My throat was like, oh my God, I'm start coughing. This lady got me cracking up, especially you trying to push the people back into the
In
computer.
the computer.
Hilarious. So listen, I know you have an online class coming up and you have some
Yes.
other things. So please share with my listeners, where they can connect with you,
Okay.
especially for some women who are in midlife, going through midlife maturity, because I'm not using that other word, midlife maturity. And, they want to get some feedback. They want to get some questions answered. And, maybe, they just want to chat with somebody, about their feelings of what's going on. So tell
Mhm.
us where we can reach out to
All
you.
right. There are several ways that you can get to me. I am on Facebook.
Okay.
Jocelyn T. Hood McElderry. I keep the Hood because that was my maiden name. And the only reason I have kept the McElderry is because when we got divorced, it cost too much for me to do it because I had just got my passport and I had just got my nursing license. And I was like, listen,
I'm not paying for all of that.
I'm not paying, and I paid for the divorce because I was like, since you left, I'm out. Yeah, I got this. Don't worry. So that's the only reason I'm still there. But it's Jocelyn, Jocelin T. Hood McElderry on Facebook. I also have a business page, The Connection Specialist. And I also have a group called The Connection Place on Facebook as well, where we are going to really start chopping it up about some things in this life and at this time in our lives. On Instagram, I am Jocelyn T. McElderry. On Twitter, I am Jocelyn T. McElderry. On TikTok, I am the Connection Specialist One, because I'm the first one.
All right now.
Right. And my website is theconnectionspecialist.com. So you can reach me on any of those things every Monday night, unless I'm out of town. I do a free webinar where I talk about what are some of the things that I do so that you can have an idea of what I offer in my program. So if you go to my website, you can actually book a call with me.
Okay.
Um, and that would be www.theconnectionspecialist.com/book me. And we will just have a conversation and see if you're a fit for my program. But I am excited about, because this is a great time in life. But unfortunately, when we get to 50, we think that our life is over. And I was telling someone, I said, listen, in the Bible, folk didn't die till they got to be over 100. So
Yeah.
we were about 50
And then somebody had a baby in their 80s. Sarah.
in their 90s.
90.
Sarah,
Was it 90? Sarah.
they was in their 90s, Sarah and Abraham.
Yeah.
When the Lord told Abraham that, Sarah laughed.
Yes, she
And I
did.
understand because her eggs should have been powder. I tell people now, I ain't near 80, but my eggs is powdered. We're not doing that. About all you can do with my eggs is scramble them. That's it.
Listen, you are hilarious.
You can't do nothing else with them eggs, okay? That's not your concern. I, I got
But
to the point.
listen, I am going to make sure that I have all of this in the description. And also you can go to her website if you're considering taking her classes or anything like that. Because if you're struggling, if you're going through something, we have resources out there that that you can just go to. You don't even have to drive. You could just go on your computer, connect, and get the help that you need. So please, if you're going
Yeah,
through midlife maturity,
maturity.
please give Jocelyn a call, give her send her an email or something and get yourself some help. So thank you, Jocelyn, for being here. This has been hilarious. The
I've enjoyed it. It is
But it's
amazing.
been very informative too.
Right,
So
right.
please, you guys, if you enjoy this, please share it with someone. Send it to someone. If you know someone that's going through, send them the link so that they
Mhm.
can look at it or they can just listen to it. So thank you, Jocelyn.
No, thank you. It has been a joy.